not only for the Clark Foundation, but also for the Clark Sports Center. This award was established in 1993 by the foundation in appreciation for the qualities that Pat brought to us as the longtime associate director at the Sports Center. It recognizes great people in our community who are dedicated to positively affecting the lives of children through sports. And I'd like to take a moment, as we do each year when we present this award, to introduce to you the past recipients. They have all changed more than one young person's life in our community, be it by a word of encouragement, a smile, a lesson, or by just being there. So as I introduce you, those of you that are here, please stand and remain standing if you would. The 1993 recipient was Beanie Ainsley. 1994, Jack Vineyard. 1995, Ted Kantorowski. 1996, Malcolm Brooks. 1997-98, Jerry Townsend. Don Howard was a recipient in 1999. 2000, Dick White. 2001, Ed and Pat Hazard. 2002, Sharky Nagelschmidt. 2003, Frank Myasek. Ted Spencer was our 2004 recipient. Terry Bliss was the recipient in 2005. Dave Adset, 2006. 2007, Bob Snyder. 2008, Connie Herzig. 2009, Brenda Weatherspoon Gray. And Paul Lambert was our 2010 recipient. And Bruce Andrews was last year's recipient. Selection Committee for 2012 and thank them for their wonderful work in selecting this year's winner. The committee chair was Brenda, if you'd like to stand up. Val Page, Rose Crane, Kathy Graham, Barry Gray, Rich Yancey, Jim Jordan, and Scott Whiteman. The 2012 recipient of the Fetterman Award is Brenda Jager. It is what she does, it is how she does it, that embodies the character of Pat Fetterman and this award. Outstanding sportsmanship, inspired leadership, such caring service, and her great humility. She retired in June as the physical education teacher at Cooperstown Middle High School after 23 years of service, teaching physical education to classes 6 through 12, coaching volleyball, track, and field hockey, and I'm told filling in for numerous coaches when they were unable to attend their practices or their games. She was the coordinator for the Outward Bound program at the school, was the Girls Athletic Association advisor, played a lead role in the school health fair, examining healthy alternatives and fitness, and she pursued grant money to help her develop new and innovative programs. She also developed a new curriculum for the school's physical education classes by focusing on the non-traditional activities. And some of the examples of that include circus arts to develop hand-eye coordination and balance, a fly fishing environmental program combined with a biology unit which involved visiting fish hatcheries, raising trout, and releasing, a 7th and 8th grade adventure program with challenging cooperative games which culminated in overnight backpacking and camping the end of the school year. It also included recreational games for 11th and 12th graders. She purchased heart monitors so students could track their fitness programs, developed winter sports units where students would do an activity, ice fishing, ice climbing, winter camping, and make a report video demonstration for a final project. This curriculum also included square dancing, fencing classes, and team building activities. She was also named Teacher of the Year in 2009 by the Rotary Club. Brenda certainly exemplifies the qualities that we look for in a recipient of this award. She teaches through example, shows good sportsmanship, enjoys what she does, and has always been interested in helping children with a positive experience. She's well respected by adults as well as students. She is known for her unwavering honesty, fairness, being ethical, being patient, and all with a very kind sense of humor. After her retirement, one of her students was heard to say, "She always took care of us, but we didn't know it until after she was gone." I'd like to ask Brenda to join me up here for a minute. And I would also like to ask if anybody has anything further to say about Brenda. Justin.
I do have a lot to say about Brenda. Having been one of her students first, and then a colleague later, I've known Brenda for a long time. I have some funny stories to share. One of which you might have heard at the academic awards banquet, dancing class in the restroom, where I was doing my best swashbuckling impersonation, and then trying to poke holes in the ceiling tubs. Gently reprimanded. Was not able to do that, and we progressed from there. So that was as a student. Thank you. Now that I'm teaching Tennessee, I'm no longer doing that. As a colleague, Brenda started a trust program with Peg Twins Special Needs Classroom, 12-on-1 classroom, and I was honored and blessed to become a part of that. And we took a 12-on-1 classroom camping overnight with canoes, which in theory sounds great until you start the practice of it. If you can picture, many of us in the community know the Hogan boys, if you can picture one of them leaping out of the canoe into the middle of the river, and then back into the canoe, all without getting wet, the first other person in the canoe wet. We were very fortunate. I can remember diligently the splashing wars that went on, and Ms. Jaeger actually participated. And we were just talking about professionalism. But she was able to show a human side to students that not everybody gets to see, the teachers do. And that part of Brenda in the education field is still there, but she did it with such class. That's the only word that comes to mind is class when I think of Brenda in physical education and teaching is class. So thank you.
I have to add to the story of fly fishing. However, you know, when however, it goes viral. Brenda came to me in my office and said, I would like to do a unit of fly fishing for the 9th grade girls. I'm not exactly what time of the year that was. It might have been past budgeting or something. And I said, I don't know if we have the money for that kind of, but it sounds great if you can come up with the equipment. So she did. I think you did it through a grant or something, through Cabela's or whatever it was. So that spring or fall, whenever she was doing class, I happened to go into the class to observe. And here were these 9th grade girls doing this ballet of 1, 2, 3. And I'm like, gee, that's great. Now, I was, in my youth, a worm fisherman. I said to Brenda sometimes after, I said, God, that really looks neat. Oh, she said, let me take you out and show you a few pointers. Okay. And I said, well, you know, somebody might be interested in doing this when they retire. Well, in that very room, when I retired, the staff presented me with a fly rod, a reel, and line. She didn't tell me I needed other stuff. I have a man cave now with fly rods, fly tying stuff, and she didn't tell me I had to travel miles to learn how to tie a fly, or take an entomology course to learn how to use those flies. But there's one story I have to tell Brenda. She just came or was out in Colorado fishing and hiking near Granby Lake, or whatever it was. Well, Kay and I happened to go out there for a vacation. And we were in that very area. And we were at a ranch, and the Colorado, headwaters of the Colorado River ran through the ranch. So after we would hike, I would take all the paraphernalia that she didn't tell me about that I needed, and I've only had 2 casting lessons. Now at that point, the Colorado River was rather barren. And I'm casting and I'm hitting the line into the brush and I'm tugging away, and there are these cows that are standing on the other side of the river. And they're looking at me. And I'm thinking to myself, they know something that I don't know. But anyway, Brenda, I thank you for those wonderful moments that I've had fly fishing on the Snake River, on the Madison, the West Canada, and all those places. Thank you.
Last week, one day, I was talking to Val on the telephone, and she had said we were going to get the award, which I knew, and so that's great. And she said, well, what can you really tell me about Brenda? What can you give me some inside scoop on Brenda? I go, well, so I told her, the important stuff, like we were undefeated badminton doubles champions, and we were sort of honorary members of the Double Date Dancers, and somehow convinced our students it was one of the greatest classes ever, where they loved it. In the end, we loved the 12th grade. It was pretty amazing. But I'm going, well, she wasn't impressed with it anyway. So I said, well, I guess the only thing I can really think to say about Brenda is she's just really a nice person. She's great. She's unbelievable, as a matter of fact. And so, we said, I said goodbye to her. I got thinking I didn't want to let it rest at that, so I thought I'd do a little digging to see if I could come up with some other things. And I think I was looking online, and I found a not bad, actually. It's pretty neat, because I think it was an international group, or a national group, that plagiarized a page from your diary when you were a young girl. And I'll read the important parts, which is a very good description of you. And this is not a bad thing. On my honor, I will try to serve God and my country, to help people at all times, to do my best to be honest and fair, friendly and helpful, considerate and caring, courageous and strong, and responsible for what I say and do, and to respect myself and others. Respect authority, use resources wisely to make the world a better place. That, if any of you recognize that, it's actually the Girl Scout promise and the Girl Scout wall. I was thinking to myself, that's the most unbelievable description of Brenda. It's just so fitting the way she actually is. And I was thinking this morning, another thing that best fits her too is something from Outward Bound, which Brenda's familiar with, which I work with our Torch Center with the scholarship program, but Kurt Hahn, who was an educator in Scotland in the 1930s, is sort of credited with starting Outward Bound with his philosophies. And he had 4 things, and Brenda actually epitomized these things, in her own way. She probably never even thinking about it. but it was, he believed that the students should have, be able to set goals themselves. That was one of his things. He believed the students should be able to have a tenacity in pursuit of achieving those goals, and so then develop an undefeatable spirit in doing that. But above all, he said he thought that they should understand compassion. And I think above all, it's what Brenda is. And maybe that's why after we've talked together for like 15 years, she still seems to enjoy teaching with me. I don't really know why. I'm sure there are many times that she shook her head and just kind of couldn't believe it. But it was great, and it's such a well-deserving person, candidate for this award. It's just great. So congratulations.
Since Jerry just went, I thought this would fit because it does, the story does involve him. My first week when I came to Cooperstown to work, Brenda Jager, and I'm sure you remember Lisa Cherubin, they walk into Jerry's office and they hand him a G.I. Joe outfit like this big and a birthday card for his 50th birthday. And I've been there 2-3 days, so I walk over and I'm like, Jerry, I get the small G.I. Joe outfit, but I don't understand why they're picking on you about being 50. I am 50, Mike, because he's so timeless. But anyway, the thing of working with Brenda for the last 17 years, worked around and with a lot of physical education teachers and a lot of educators. Brenda has always proven to have it not be about her. It was always about the children. And I remember one of the things she said to me a long time ago about loving to coach and teach at the junior high level or the JV level, because so much more teaching and building occurs at that age level, and the foundation of how they're trying to develop young people. And as far as the classroom, the most important part to Brenda and the most important part of her job, she was the best innovator of any physical education teacher I'd been around. Every year she was either adding a new unit of instruction, changing, looking to do things that were going to make the physical education department that she was in charge of over the last 6 or 7 years better. And I've always appreciated that, and we're certainly going to miss that for our physical education classes. So thanks, Brenda.
I came across this little souvenir a while ago. When you're retired after 5 or 6 years, you start cleaning out your house. This is from Busch Gardens. And if you look through it, you see, aha, Brenda. Brenda chaperoned the trip with us a number of times. Now that senior trip, I think, is a thing of the past. But we used to leave on a Wednesday night, 9, 10 o'clock. We traveled all night long on a bus. Now Brenda's a little bit taller than I am, and I know how difficult it was to sleep on that bus. But Brenda figured out a way to put some luggage in the aisle, get her feet, we had the front row, and she made it a few years. I was always lucky she was on my bus. She has the same qualities when she's with a bunch of kids for fun. Seniors, Mike, where they already know all their stuff. She was great, really great. The other thing I'd like to say is that Brenda came to Cooperstown when the girls' phys ed program needed a new beginning. And she brought with her all those qualities that we've listened to. Her honesty, her integrity, her love of kids, and that desire to be sure they did all they could possibly do. And I thank you a whole lot for that. So do lots of people.
What I treasure about Brenda is the fact that she not only looks at the athletes in the community, but all those other kids too. She and I have many conversations about all of the children who move from my level to hers. And she really looks out for all of the kids. good care of them up at the middle high school, and it's always good to know somebody's got their back up there. So thank you for that, and we're all officers grateful.
Anyone else? Well, before I present the award to you, I have to ask both of you, has anyone tasted Brenda's pound cake? There's only 1, 2, 3. Because I understand it's wonderful, and I've been told not to present her the trophy, the award, until you give us the recipe. Speech, no. It's worth a try. This is probably too heavy for you. So we'll leave that on the table. Sure. Glasses out. You know, it's an honor, but it's also humbling to be chosen for this award, especially when I consider all the past recipients. And it's been a privilege to know and work with most of you, and it's just been really great. When my siblings and I get together, which isn't, maybe every year or so, we always have this time where we say, remember when we went to the Bronx Zoo and this happened? Or remember when we were playing that empty lot where we weren't supposed to be playing and this happened? So what I'm going to do is share some remember whens in Cooperstown. I remember 23 years ago, Ed Kanarowski's interview of me and asked me why I wanted to teach. And I thought that was a great question. And he just challenged me professionally throughout the years and made me be a better teacher by having me expand on things that I was doing. I remember my first sports banquet when Ted Spencer showed his first show of shows. It was so neat to see the video recap of our season's highlights. And it was such a gift to students and coaches. I still have copies from the years that I was coaching the varsity teams. I coached track with Don Howard for a few years, and I remember at the end of the school year, Don going to the locker room and checking the baskets of clothes and shoes that we would take out of the students' lockers that were left behind, and he would salvage the better pair of shoes for kids who couldn't afford shoes. And that really stuck in my mind. I'm really concerned about our students. I remember Dick White sharing some words of wisdom about coaching during some difficult times, and how he led by example, and how his teams helped out with the Special Olympics at the Sports Center. I remember going to the Northern Cascade Mountains of Washington State for a 21-day outward bound backpacking trip, thanks to a Clark scholarship. I remember our first middle school camping trip. Some people won't let me forget it. We had a great hike, and then we started dinner, and then it started to rain. And one girl came over to me saying, Miss Jager, my tent is wet, and everything is all wet. And some other girl said, oh, just come to our tent. So they did that. Unfortunately, the scenario kept repeating itself. So we ran out of dry space. So, to make a long story short, we ended up staying at the Villa Maria that night. After that, the school purchased their own tents. And though we had many other rainy trips, we never had to stay at the Villa Maria. On our camping trips, the students prepared their own meals. They planned it, and their group to get together and bring part of the meal. I remember on one trip, the group decided to make shish kebabs. And so each kid brought their stuff, and they put it on the table, and it was dinner time. And they were just like kind of looking at it. Like, what do we do? Like, I'm 7th grade, I haven't done a dinner before. And then one
Kelly prepared dinner for her mom very frequently. Said, well, you do this, you do this, you do this, you do this. And they ended up getting their dinner done. And I was sharing this story with some chaperones a couple of years ago, and one of the secretaries who was a former student said, that was my group. And that was pretty neat to have her share and fill in the rest of the details of that. And how the kids appreciated that student so much and just saw her in such a different light. When you're stripped of all these things, and you have, a pair of shorts, sweatshirt, a few things with you, it makes a real big difference in students' lives. And the trips just bring the kids together in such amazing ways. Sharing socks when you ran into the lake and you forgot to take your shoes off, and just helping each other in many different ways. I remember a bus trip to Syracuse to play a field hockey game. And as we were driving, it was like a blizzard. Going down Route 20, there's cars on both sides of the road, and Bennett was driving, and so we stopped at this little Quickway, and that was before cell phones. And so here I am, it's outside the telephone, getting the change, it's snowing, and I'm trying to put the change into the slots, and couldn't get Ted. And so, through Wick's expert driving, we ended up making it to the game one time, because the game wasn't canceled. One of my professors in college said that being a PE teacher and a coach, that some of your best friends at school are going to be your custodians. And that's definitely true. Thanks a lot. I remember when the fly fishing class went to Bruce Andrews Pond and to test out our new skills at the end of the unit. And one girl was getting all excited, and I was like, oh, she probably has a fish on. So we go over there, and she had a leech on. She decided to wade into the water. We didn't catch fish, I think, but I remember Justin Hobby. As a student at Cooperstown, a little bit I realized that one day we'd be teaching together. And it has been such a pleasure to be able to teach with you. I remember kindergarten night at the elementary school, where the students and their parents would participate in dance and exercises, learning lessons as they participated in activities. There was so much energy. I haven't taught kindergarten student teaching, so to see all this energy there was pretty amazing. And their energy was matched by the enthusiasm of Connie, Dave, and Buddy at different times. And you guys made PE fun and educational for our students and gave them such a love for activity that made our job a lot easier. Thank you. I remember Mike Kring as a colleague, coach, an athletic director, a middle school principal, a middle high school principal. I can't thank you enough for your support and the encouragement that you've given me throughout the years. I really appreciate that. I remember when Tom Good and Jan Kerr asked me to be a backup chaperone for the senior class trip. Not a chaperone, a backup chaperone. Little did I realize that I was going to be chaperoning the trip, and as Jan shared, that I did that many years because it was such a neat experience, the way the trip was run and how the kids took responsibility for preparing and planning most of that trip. And it was real fun. And Jan and Tom have been a great supporter of students in the classroom, but also outside the classroom. It's hard to give up your family time when it's late at night doing the Hall of Fame games where it's hours and hours. And I just really learned a lot from them. I remember my first fencing class at Cooperstown. We didn't have any fencing equipment, but we had plenty of chest protectors from softball, baseball, field hockey, and we had masks. We had floor hockey goggles, we had Jason masks, the white masks, and we had other helmets. And so we used those. I made foils out of dowels, and I put that black pipe insulation, and Bruce Clinton made me some little round bell bars. So we're fencing with those, and we're having a really good time. And someone said, the old gym, somebody used to teach fencing. And so we contacted the gym. I got a box of various outfits, and so we were able to use those. So half the time, the kids would be using the real things, and otherwise we'd be using the other stuff. It's kind of neat using the partnership and be able to use and build on that. Now they have, so that's about 30 kids. I coached field hockey before I came to CCS, and I usually coached both the varsity and JV team. And so it's such a pleasure to have Brenda as be able to coach with Brenda. That was such a neat thing. I remember all the wonderful meals we had in away games. If it was a Burger King or McDonald's, in the early days we stopped. I remember the Bobo drill and challenging the players at the end of practice with a shootout. And winners had to, losers had to run. And how many sprints did we end up running? Never. Never. I remember walking down to practice one day and this truck had its lights on. And so we said, oh, the window was open, so we'll just turn the lights off. So we go to do that, there was a person crammed down by where the feet were supposed to be. That's it. I remember when I had team teaching with Jerry, whether it was teaching doubles batting strategy or how to roll away with a half chassé. We're deciding 11th, 12th grade volleyball draft. We're rescuing students from the Susquehanna as their cardboard and duct tape boats sprung leaks. You were like the PE teachers I had in high school. I had an exceptional program in high school, and they're what inspired me to become a PE teacher in the first place. Remember this past April, I was at the fly fishing clinic on the west branch of the Delaware River. I heard someone say, Miss Jager. And I'm thinking, so I turn around, I was a former student, and we talked throughout the day, and she said, remember the winter project? And I said, do you remember ours? And I said, I sure do. They did avalanche safety, and they did a video. They started out with sitting, accumulating their gear, putting it in, saying, oh, what this is, and putting it in their little pack. The next scene was one of the girls on cross-country skis on top of a flight of stairs. Inside, there was a sheet downstairs representing a slope, and 5 feet was a wall right there. And I thought, oh, that's creative. But I thought, oh my goodness, she is going to ski down the stairs. And then she said, okay, I'm ready, here I come. And I was just like, my heart started beating faster. I'm like, oh no. And then the camera started going like this. And all of a sudden, she was downstairs and there were a bunch of pillows. And so she didn't actually ski down, but boy, for a minute there, I really thought she was going to do that. And probably my best. We wouldn't have been able to do projects like that. It hasn't been for our excellent library staff. Michelle and Marcia just helped out tremendously with the kids. Their knowledge and expertise is just amazing. And I remember librarians years ago just checked out books. That's all they did. They just put them back on the shelves. But they do so much more, and kids really have benefited from that. Thank you. 2 of my sisters are also teachers. One's here today, BJ. And then we teach different areas. They've both been an inspiration to me through their dedication and their creative teaching. And when I moved here, I got a new extended family. The Taylors, Mr. House, and the Johnsons, and it's been a blessing to have such a big extended family here. So that I've been included in all these different activities, and it's been excellent. And I'm also thankful for a great neighbor for 20 years. Thank God. It's not everybody who's got a neighbor come over and try to get this critter that's in your cabinet, or go over and shoot a raccoon in your backyard. And I could always call on them, and they would come over and help me out. And I also have some of my church family here, and they've prayed faithfully for me throughout the years, and for also some of our students. And I just want to thank God for bringing me here to Cooperstown 23 years ago. And after the blessed staff, all you people. Thank you.
Yes.